the silent spark, igniting fear without words. Imagine a room packed with people, their eyes darting, shoulders tense, the air thick with an unspoken dread. No one speaks, no one needs to. A single glance, a tightened jaw, the faint hum of unease in the silence. It's enough to make your heart race. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers through the things we see, feel, and sense, burrowing into our minds before we can name it. This is the power of fear without words, a force so primal it shapes empires, sways crowds, and controls us in ways we rarely notice. Fear is universal. It's hardwired into us, a survival tool older than language itself. But what happens when that instinct is harnessed? Not by words, but by something subtler, something silent. Think of a propaganda poster from decades past, a shadowy figure, eyes piercing, colors stark and menacing, or a modern news broadcast, flashing images of chaos while ominous music swells. These aren't accidents. They're deliberate, crafted to grip you, to make you feel before you think. Throughout history, from ancient symbols carved into stone to viral videos flickering on our screens, fear has been sculpted without a single spoken threat. It's in the way a crowd hushes before a leader appears, or how a darkened alley shifts your steps to hurry. But here's the question that lingers. What if fear is more powerful when it's unspoken? What if the absence of words makes it sink deeper, hit harder, linger longer? This is no simple trick. It's a force that's shaped societies, driven wars, and manipulated minds, all without a sound. Today we'll unravel how this silent fear works, from its roots in our past to its grip on our present. We'll explore the psychology, the history, and the hidden mechanics that make fear a weapon sharper than words. So let's step into the shadows and ask, how is fear built when no one speaks? The historical machinery of silent fear. Centuries ago, a cathedral's stained glass windows loomed over worshippers, their vivid depictions of torment and divine wrath, searing fear into every soul below. No sermon was needed. The images spoke louder than any preacher's voice. This is where the story of silent fear begins, not with words, but with symbols, rituals, and visuals designed to grip the human psyche. Throughout history, those in power have mastered this art, crafting fear without uttering a single threat. Consider medieval Europe, where religious art wasn't just decoration, it was a psychological weapon. Paintings of demons and eternal suffering warned of consequences more vividly than any spoken decree. Fast forward to the 20th century, and propaganda posters took the stage. During World War II, stark images of enemies as monstrous figures stirred panic and loyalty without lengthy speeches. The Cold War era perfected this further. A single mushroom cloud image could evoke existential dread, no explanation required. These visuals worked because they tapped into something primal, bypassing reason to strike directly at our instincts. Why do these images hit so hard? Science offers a clue. Our amygdala, the brain's fear center, processes visuals faster than words, reacting to threats before we can think. A menacing shadow, a stark red hue, or a looming figure triggers an ancient alarm system, one that rulers and influencers have exploited for centuries. From ancient totems to wartime banners, the tools have changed, but the goal remains: control through fear, delivered silently. These historical tactics weren't just about scaring people. They shaped behaviors, loyalties, and entire societies. They set the stage for the modern world, where silent fear has evolved into something even more pervasive. How did these old methods pave the way for today's subtle manipulations? Let's find out. The psychology of silent dread. Fear doesn't need a voice to take hold. It thrives in the unspoken, in the flicker of a glance, or the weight of a pause. Our brains are wired to react to these silent cues faster than to words, as if evolution knew danger often arrives without a warning cry. This section pulls back the curtain on the psychology of nonverbal fear, revealing how our minds are manipulated by the subtlest signals. When you lock eyes with someone whose stare feels off, or when a shadowy figure in a film makes your pulse spike, that's your amygdala at work. This ancient part of the brain processes visual and sensory input in milliseconds, triggering fight or flight before you can process why. Studies show we detect threats, like a furrowed brow or an unnatural stillness, faster than we comprehend speech. This is why horror films lean on eerie silences and sudden movements, not monologues to terrify. It's also why a political ad with ominous music and dark imagery can sway voters without a clear message. Psychologists call this implicit processing. Concepts like the uncanny valley, where something looks almost human but not quite, exploit this, making us uneasy without explanation. Subliminal cues like a fleeting image in an ad slip past our conscious defenses, planting anxiety. Even crowds amplify this. A tense group's collective body language can infect us with dread, No words needed. Advertisers, filmmakers, and even governments know this, using micro-expressions, color palettes, or stage silences to steer emotions. This isn't just science, it's a playbook. By understanding how our brains react to the unspoken, manipulators craft fear that feels instinctive, inevitable. But if these tactics are so powerful, how are they used against us today? Let's explore the modern shadows where silent fear reigns. Modern shadows, fear in today's world. The tools of silent fear have evolved, but their grip is tighter than ever. In our digital age, fear weaves through screens, algorithms, and airwaves, shaping how we think and act without a single explicit threat. From social media feeds to news broadcasts, the unspoken cues of dread are everywhere, crafted to manipulate us in ways we barely notice. Consider your phone. A notification pops up, its red icon pulsing like a warning, or a news channel flashes images of protests, wildfires, or masked figures, paired with tense music. These aren't random, they're designed to hook your attention, exploiting the same primal instincts that once reacted to predators. Social media algorithms amplify this, curating posts that stir anxiety to keep you scrolling. Studies show that fear-driven content spreads faster, so platforms prioritize it, subtly shaping narratives. A single viral image, a grim statistic, or a menacing silhouette can spark panic without a word. Governments and corporations wield these tactics too. Remember the color-coded terror alerts after 9/11? Those bright reds and oranges weren't just informative, they were psychological triggers, embedding fear into daily life. Today, political ads use stark visuals or eerie filters to vilify opponents, bypassing argument for emotional impact. Even public health campaigns, like ominous COVID-era imagery, leaned on silent fear to drive compliance. This constant exposure makes us vulnerable. Our brains, flooded with curated dread, struggle to separate real threats from manufactured ones. The result? A society on edge, divided, and easier to control. But if fear is this pervasive, can we break free? Let's turn to the power of awareness to find out. The power of awareness. Breaking the spell. We've walked through the shadows of silent fear, its historical roots, its psychological machinery, its modern grip on our lives. But here's the twist. Fear only controls us when we don't see it coming. Awareness is the antidote, a light that pierces the fog of manipulation. By recognizing how silent cues shape our emotions, we can reclaim our minds and rewrite the story. Start with a simple act. Pause. When an image, a glance, or a tense moment quickens your pulse, ask why. Is it the stark colors of a news graphic, the eerie silence in a viral video? Our brains are wired to react, but they're also built to reflect. Philosophers like the Stoics taught us to question our instincts, to separate feeling from truth. When you catch yourself gripped by unspoken dread, trace its source. Often you'll find a deliberate design, someone's attempt to steer you. This isn't just personal, it's societal. Critical thinking dismantles the power of silent fear. When we question the visuals flooding our feeds, we weaken their hold. Share what you see with others. Talk about the tactics. Knowledge spreads, and so does resilience. Nietzsche once said, "We must face the abyss to become stronger." Stare into the fear, and it loses its grip. Imagine a world where we see through the unspoken, where we question every image, every silence, and choose our responses. That's not just freedom, it's power. So step forward, look closer. The next time fear whispers without words, you'll be ready to answer back.